Hey traders, Nick here looking at Novavax. I don't believe I've done that for a while, and probably for good reason. I know how passionate people are about it, either hating it or loving it. So I used to be in the admirer camp years ago when it was trading $9 to $10, and then somebody told me from the chat room, actually, who's still in the chat room from way back then, somebody said it's going to 12 or 16. So we played that. It played out pretty well, and then one day door fell out from under it. I mean, the floor fell out from under it, and whatever news it was chasing disappeared. A setback from the FDA, I would imagine. And the stock crashed to like 80 cents or 70 cents. Luckily, we were off the bandwagon. I'm giving you a background to tell you that I'm not a hater. Okay, so stick with me. I bought calls when it fell, and they were leaps, and it was for $1. The $1 price, stock price back then, before the split. So I was optimistic before the crash, bought the dip after the crash, made money on both. Give you background. I was never a short back then. This rally from COVID, I shorted a couple of times, like 3 or 4 times with puts, by buying puts and put spreads, and they played out. One of them didn't, but they played out. Why did I short it? Because I'm seeing the same movie repeat itself. Super happy news, and then out of the blue, boom, they get shellacked. I'll show you. Don't take my words for it. Okay, so this is Novavax lifetime. Look, that was back in 2001. Oh, by the way, they've been at it since the 90s and still nothing on the market. Not one thing got to market. So I don't know what the hell's going on. For the world's good, I want them to come to market with a vaccine because apparently we need it. But goddamn. Okay, so at some point somebody should say you can't be public anymore because of what's going on here. Happy exuberance, calamity. Happy exuberance, that was when I was on board in the 2015 area. Calamity. And by the way, they reverse split 20 to 1. So this is a single digit stock now. Pre-split. So you're thinking, oh, $120. No, it's like $8. So at least it was overnight. Not saying it's going there. I'm just saying that it has done this before. So the question is, how do I treat it going forward? How do I trade it? So for me, I'm very agnostic to fundamentals because this is a binary outcome. They will either do it or not. And if they don't, it's going back to being a penny stock and it should be delisted because that's what they do. By the way, they reverse split just before the pandemic. If they had waited a minute, then they wouldn't have needed the reverse split because the pandemic brought all this exuberance over to the biotech industry because they expected a vaccine and it jumped on board and then it took off. So let's go back to a daily chart. More relevant price action, and that's what I would use to make my decision going forward. I have no trades on it. I don't have anybody who has trades on it. I suggested if somebody wants to hold it and hope for that eventual headline that's been late and delayed a couple of times, they can. But given that what happened overnight, it sounds like it's more of the same. So let me show you my lines and my words before this. I didn't update them for this. So I had a resistance zone laid out at 231, 232 with a potential upside target right here. You can see it, that white line. They broke through it. I said resistance plus opportunity. The opportunity came. They broke through resistance. They priced out my target exactly. Then they came back, retested footing, and then came back and overdid it. Why did they fail up here? Because they failed up here before. And then they set a lower high. Now the line that they used to break out became the place to hold, and they didn't hold it. So this was a head and shoulder-ish pattern that lost its footing right there. Once it did that, it has to price out the downside scenario. Most often they do. So the downside scenario was going to be about $38 from 220. So take that from 220. You can get your estimated downside. They call that a measured move. So we're talking like 180-ish. So down to here, it wouldn't have alerted me, alarmed me, because once they lost that, I expect it. Then, but I also had a buy the dip opportunity drawn from at least somewhere in August, meaning if it falls in here, it should be a place where I can test longs, and with stops. Those will be the stops right there, 172. Well, they didn't have a chance at 172. They lost the 172. They overdid the drop from here. I must have measured. So let's see here, 221 to 278. That's the drop. Subtract those two numbers. That's the measured move. So it's in the ballpark. Look how many days they consolidated here, and then out of the blue, boom, this one down to here. So this is not a coincidence. Look left. It's exactly where they based in May. So this correction was partly because the whole market was correcting back then. So I don't remember anything here. And look left. The start of this exuberance. So February, yay, priced it out. You can argue twice. Then the whole rally, and now we're back to it. So I can assume, not to make an ass of myself, if I was a bull and I haven't sold overnight, I wouldn't sell now until they lose that. Now if they lose that, all bets are off. So why could they lose that? I think they will hold unless the company comes out and says something terrible. Kind of like, I think this drop was on somebody's opinion. What if the company comes out and confirms that opinion, or intimates that, hey, they could be right, they might have something, because they don't want a lawsuit on their hands? Then we're talking 80. That's the next place to hold. I'm not calling for it. Did you hear the first part? I said they should hold. If I didn't sell yet, I wouldn't, because of this. But if this is lost, then I should assume 80 is coming, if not 60. So now we're talking like back here. That's June of the pandemic. So we're talking like the questions will then become, will they come to market? So I don't know where they're getting their income. They keep striking deals like nothing is going on. So that tells me that maybe the management knows something, that this quote report, whoever the hell it was, they were just trying to make money off of their own trades. I love it how these days you can make your own profits if you have enough eyeballs. You come on TV and you say, I think this, and meanwhile you already line yourself up short the stock somehow. That's pretty crazy that they let that happen. But hey, it must be nice to be an influencer. So what would I do with it? If I hold shares, whatever the reason got me into shares, that's the test. So if I held shares because of news ABC, news XYZ somewhere in time, I should revisit that reason. Everybody has different reasons. If I held the shares because I thought this floor was going to hold, I should be out. That floor did not hold. So my thesis is broken, and that becomes the resistance. So now on the bounce, I expect a lot of sellers into a 175. The only way they're going to slice through that pretty quickly is through a headline. So what will the company say in the next, earnings are coming, perfect, between now and earnings or on earnings? What will they say? Will they confirm these quote reports from sources close to the matter, which just drives me bonkers when they say that? Then this is like carte blanche for them to just regurgitate rumors, sources closer to the matter, so without having to verify it. So if the company comes out and says, yes, they were correct, we don't have anything, then expect much lower prices. If they come out and say, no, that was bullcrap, we're still on track to be on date so-and-so, then that's the way to just burst through this area. Otherwise, this area through 200 is going to be near impossible to inch through. It's a lot of resistance. At 160, at 173, at 182, at 202. So all of these zones are super hard to get through one line at a time. They will need something like this, some explosion like that. So they need a repeat of some news from the government. Enough with these rumors. Same with PayPal today. All right, so that would be the planning, the way I would trade it. First, retest my thesis. It was fundamental. then I shouldn't worry about it until the company says so. If it was technical, like this line holding, well, it didn't hold, so my trade is broken, and now there's resistance. I should be out. So that's how I would deal with it. If I had sold puts to own shares, which I would never do in a stock like that, then I should be okay because I probably sold them down here. And by the way, I would not average down. I would not average down. Why? Because this is a binary stock, believe it or not. They promised the world, but they have nothing now. So that means it's fail or success, like QuantumScape. It's not like PayPal dipped, hey, they'll build it back up over time. These will either fail or go to market. So this is not a candidate to average down in my book for my own taste. I'm not giving anybody advice here. I'm just telling you what I would do and how I would treat it. All right, so the haters have something to talk about today. The fans have something to talk about today. The fact that it closed off the lows overnight. I think it was in the 18s. So I didn't look actually, so I should probably look. But this is where it is, if you don't believe in the technicals, if you're saying this is all bunk, let me show you something. Today, PayPal had a tizzy, right? So let me go to 2-hour chart. I'm going to take out all my lines and reset the chart. 240. Okay, every time you have a big headline of sorts, a stock falls or stock spikes, they always refer to a prior level. Like, is this a coincidence that it stopped right here? I mean, the news was, quote, bad. Maybe. I don't think it's bad, but people perceived it as bad. So it falls and boom, it stops at exactly where it stopped before and the time before that and where it broke out before that. And so these levels are not random, is what I'm saying. The lines matter, whether you trust them or not, whether you believe them or not. Lines on the charts do matter. So Novavax, back to the conversation at hand. So it fell, not a coincidence. It stopped right there. Machines are the traders. They look left. They say, well, there were buyers here, and they brought it up. We made 100% on our money last time we bought it here. They buy it again. So if you thought to yourself, shoot, I wish I had been long Novavax. Well, this is the place to technically reload because it has support and then set a tight stop. If support fails, I'm out as a trade. That's all there is to it. I mean, we can go and try to look at the P&L. I'm flabbergasted as to where the income is coming from. Are they pre-selling stuff? So if they don't go to market, people are out money or what? So anyway, that's for you to do the homework on. It's for it's up to management to come out and set us straight. Enough of these rumors and secondhand information and reports of this and reports of that. The management should step up to the plate and do it.